Kia ora, good evening. A 52-year-old male climber has been airlifted to Dunedin Hospital this morning suffering from serious back injuries. The man was part of an experienced group that had been climbing in the Milford Sound area for several days. The man suffered a fall last night and a companion tramped out to raise the alarm just before midnight. Initial attempts to locate the man in the early hours this morning were hampered due to rain and access. He was rescued this morning at 8:45 from the Don River area, with the helicopter returning to the scene to rescue another two members of the group believed to be suffering from hypothermia. Southland farmers took a hit during the spring months last year when extreme weather conditions prevented crop growth in what was one of the wettest springs on record. Sharon Rees spoke to Russell McPherson of Federated Farmers to see if a dry summer had eased the pressure on farmers or if it was just one extreme to another.
I think people were pleased to see the sunshine, but you know, you ask any farmer, we're never happy, and we had too much rain, and then we had quite a bit of sunshine. Now we've got probably could do with a bit more rain, and we had a nice shower of rain this weekend. And but in the northern southern areas, they're getting pretty dry, and they'll probably be getting quite concerned about moisture levels in the ground.
So how are those farms coping at the moment?
Well, farmers cope in different ways. Some farmers have got some irrigation. They will take the edge off that dry period. Some farmers will drop out lambs earlier, so instead of killing their lambs, they might kill them a bit lighter, and then also they might store them. So in other words, sell them to other farmers to finish who are maybe not so affected by the dry period.
So does that affect their income quite a lot?
Yes, it can, but as farmers we accept that we're dealing with nature, and some years it's good and some years it's bad, and this is just a year that's been quite unusual, and it's quite frustrating for some people, but let's just accept that as being part of agriculture.
So what's the general feeling among farmers at the moment?
I think farmers are reasonably happy. I don't even have too many farmers moaning about the weather, but you know, if it gets too dry too long, it might change, but I think farmers accept that it's nature, and we deal with nature every day of our farming career.
Over the hard months, I understood that there was a bit of a warning issued about mental health in farmers. How much of a concern is that in Southland?
Well, it's always a concern. When you get extremes, people's stress levels rise, and just this combination of all things, and especially this spring, you couldn't get onto your land to do some cultivation. Things were wet, grass wasn't growing, and then all on top of that, there was the declining payout, especially for dairy farmers. And sheep farmers are going to have a reasonable year with lambs holding up quite well, but it's just a combination of all those things put together. It does put people under stress, and some people can handle that stress better than others. But you know, just remember that the suicide rate for farmers is far higher than the general public, and we need to be aware of that. And farmers needed to be aware of that and take appropriate measures if they feel that they can't cope with the pressures of climate, product price, and any other things that are going on in their lives.
What advice would you give farmers in these situations?
Look, the best one is talk to your partner or your wife. That's the first step. Talk to your friends, relations, and look, a problem shared is a problem halved, and people won't judge you if you're having issues regarding around your stress levels because of things that are happening on your farm or outside your farm. And it's really, really important that people do get some help. And also the next step is doctors, medical advice, and then also there's the Rural Support Trust has help there as well. So there's plenty of help there if people are finding that the stress levels are rising.
For the 8th month in a row, national guest nights climbed, and in November were almost 6% higher than the same month the previous year. Auckland and Otago were the main regional contributors to the national increase in November, with Otago guest nights boosted by the inaugural Queenstown International Marathon. When comparing November guest nights to November 2013, South Island guest nights were up 8.1%, while North Island rose 4.5%. Domestic guest nights were up just under 4%, while international nights were up 8.5%. 11 of the 12 regional areas had increases. The accommodation survey collects data for guests staying in hotels, motels, backpacker accommodation and holiday parks in New Zealand, and each month and shows rises in all 4 accommodation types. The anticipated upgrade of Invercargill's main shopping street, Esk Street, is finally underway after being delayed in November. The 4-month project will have most of the work carried out between 7 a.m. and 7 p.m, although some work will be done at night to minimise disruption. Works begun at the D Street end and will progress towards Cambridge Place Arcade, with worksite cordoned off to ensure pedestrian safety. Motorists still have access and it's expected there will be minimal disruption to parking, but are urged to drive slowly and show caution. Fulton Hogan, who were awarded the contract, will be setting up a site office in Cambridge Place from Wednesday. Stay with us after the break. Toxic waters in northern Southland, plus power prices stay put for Stewart Island. Welcome back. A potentially toxic algae has been discovered in the Waikaia River in northern Southland, prompting a health warning to swimmers and farmers. Cyanobacteria occurs naturally but can increase rapidly during warmer periods. Environment Southland are encouraging people to be vigilant and report any sightings.
Yeah, cyanobacteria is a naturally occurring organism that grows in rivers around New Zealand and Southland. Environment Southland carries out a monthly monitoring program for algae in rivers, and we've observed a large increase in cyanobacteria cover from our monitoring in December to our monitoring in January this year, and that increase in levels and the level itself has led us to inform the public of the potential risk of toxin producing cyanobacteria.
What are the risks to the public?
The primary risks to the public are associated with ingestion. So the species that we're talking about have the ability to produce toxins which can affect the neurosystem of humans and animals, and can result in death ultimately. However, they're not always producing toxins, and further testing later this week will hopefully answer the question as to whether they are or are not producing toxins under the current environmental conditions.
So perhaps not only humans that are at risk, but also stock?
Yeah, absolutely. Primarily dogs. Previously in Southland and the Gore area, there have been reported incidents of dogs dying as a result of eating cyanobacteria mats from the side of the river, and similar incidents reported elsewhere around the country. So we certainly advise people to keep their dogs on the lead when they're around these rivers, or if cyanobacteria mats are observed, and to also keep children away from those areas. Other effects as a result of touching them can result in skin irritation, a rash occurring, and they're not known to have a routine effect on fish. However, reports of an undesirable taste in the flesh of fish have been reported. Yeah.
So perhaps no fishing from Piano Flat down south either. So it's always in the water, I understand, but it gets to a stage where it becomes notifiable.
Yeah, that's right. Cyanobacteria grows naturally in the environment. It favours some environmental conditions, particularly periods of long dry weather and low flows like we've had this summer, which has been really nice for us. Yeah.
As far as identifying what it looks like, just describe how it does grow. It favours boulders and stone bottoms as opposed to sandy.
Yeah, that's right. So cyanobacteria is often observed to grow on cobbly areas, small boulders and gravels. It grows as a mat, and its colour can vary from a dark green, brown through to a very sort of dark black. Often has quite a shiny sheen to it, and some more images can be found both on our website and on the Ministry of Health's website.
If somebody does come across what they suspect might be cyanobacteria, what would you suggest they do? Yeah,
my primary advice for them would be to avoid contact with the cyanobacteria and that water. Secondarily, we'd like to hear about that, so if they are in a position to take a photo and record their location and get that through to us, then that would be appreciated.
The Stewart Island Community Board today voted on a pricing plan for the Electrical Supply Authority to be included in the Council draft long-term plan. The Southland District Council Stewart Island Community Board voted on whether power prices should increase, but due to oil prices coming down for the island, the board opted for prices to remain the same in a unanimous vote. The island's fixed monthly charge will remain at $87.55 with a standard rate of about 58 cents per unit, which is about double the average charge in Invercargill. Minimising risk and potential fire breakouts is behind the total fire ban in place for Catlins, Tapanui and parts of northern Southland. The rest of the southern fire district has been declared a restricted fire season, meaning permits are now necessary to light an open fire.
The season to date has been really good. It was a wet November, December for most of Southland, but as people have probably been aware, coming back in the new year, things have dried out significantly.
There has been a total fire ban put in place for parts of Southland. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, there's been a ban put in place for the northern area of Southland and into the Catlins area. It's because things have dried out a lot up that way, but we are allowing stubble burning to occur with a permit in those areas.
The restricted areas, the rest of Southland is restricted. You are allowing some burning to happen?
Yeah, that's right. Small fires such as campfires, incinerators, offal holes are allowed to burn without a permit. Most other fire activities are allowed, but a permit is required for them.
There is the option for some people to burn small bonfires as well, so long as they don't exceed a certain size and diameter of plant?
Yeah, that's right. So any burning up to 2 square metres that doesn't have material or wood in it over 3 inches, 75 millimetres is allowed.
As far as the scrub fires go, that's an ongoing thing at this time of year. Are you getting many requests for permits, and are you turning any down for any reason?
We are getting a lot of requests for permits. To date, people have been very, very responsible with their fires. We've had very few call-outs to fires. We do turn the odd permit down if for reasons they are unsafe, but that's on a case-by-case basis. At this point, very few have been turned down.
And those total fire ban areas, which is coming into Tapanui, Kelso and also into Catlins areas, how long do you expect that they'll be in place for?
It's really difficult to say. It's very dependent on the weather. It does take a fair bit of moisture and cool weather for the fire ban to come off. So if the weather continues the way it is, it could be some time.
If people are caught lighting fires in those areas, what are they faced with?
People in the areas, if they're caught with a fire, will be asked to extinguish those fires. If that's not possible, we may have to put the fire out for them, and they may incur the cost of doing that.
Thanks for joining us for our first bulletin of 2015. We're back tomorrow with more news from around the south from the news team. Good night.